So the agenda that we're going to cover today, I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction first. We've got some housekeeping about how you ask questions. And then we've got a few sort of positioning slides where we talk about what is Qlik Reporting Service. And then we'll get into the main bit, which is a demonstration. And following that, we'll do a Q&A. So raise questions if you wish, and we'll get to them as we go through the webinar. So on the meeting today, you've got myself, Neil Thorne. I'm sector manager here at Ometis. Many of you will know Charanati, who's our principal account manager, and Chris Lofthouse, again, several of you will know, I would imagine by now. Chris is, he was a Qlik luminary until they stopped partners being luminaries any longer, and he is now a partner ambassador. And Chris heads up all of our consultants. So just some brief housekeeping before we get into it. The session is being recorded, and we will release it on our YouTube channel over the next few days. Please ask questions via the meeting chat function. If they're appropriate, we'll interrupt the demo if they're relevant at that stage, or we'll probably keep the majority of them from how it's gone in the past. We'll keep them to the end. During the Q&A session, do feel free to use the raise hand function if you wish us to unmute your microphone so you can ask a question of the team there and then. So let's get started then. So what we're talking about here is just another part of Qlik's active intelligence strategy, where the whole thing is designed to deliver what they call in-the-moment awareness of every aspect of your organization. So creating those, what I've put there, intelligent data analytics pipelines, enabling you to deliver the right information at the right time to the right people. No more of this sort of waiting for overnight uploads. The whole platform can enable you to trigger immediate actions by people. So the active intelligence platform as a whole covers a wide range. I know many of you that we've got on the call today are familiar with the Qlik data analytics side, which includes Qlik Sense, but we'd like you to recall that there is also the whole Qlik data integration piece with change data capture and data warehouse creation. So we can, if those parts are of interest to you, please do get in touch and we will talk to you about them. But today we're going to focus on a bit within the Qlik data analytics area, and that's reporting and alerting where it appears. So what is Qlik's reporting service? Well, the first thing I have to say is it's not end printing. I know many of you on the call are end printing users and have asked questions about end printing. End printing is the static reporting solution for Qlik's on-premises or client-managed solution. What we're talking about today is Qlik SaaS, so sitting on Qlik's infrastructure. And there is already some existing functionality there to enable users to subscribe to visualizations and sheets via PDF, but that is internally to existing Qlik users. What Qlik Reporting Service is bringing to the party is that you can now use it to send reports out to any recipients, including external stakeholders. And that can be via multiple channels, so typically email, but it could also be dropping those reports into a repository such as Dropbox or Amazon S3 that users can go and collect them from. So Qlik Reporting Service allows creation of burst, multi-page PDF reports, and Chris will show you some of that during the demonstration. They can be scheduled to be distributed at certain times on certain days, or we can make use of Qlik application automation to externally trigger reporting tasks. So if this happens, issue a report to so-and-so. Right. Now, I talked about those supported cloud storage facilities. Currently, There are 5 available: Amazon S3, Dropbox, Google Cloud Storage, and also FTP and SFTP. But what we're showing you today is a sort of first iteration of Qlik reporting service. We're expecting this to grow considerably over the coming months and years. So I would imagine there will be more of those introduced over time. There are some limitations currently to the solution, which I just wanted to make clear to you. Reports added as email attachments can be a limit of up to 40 megabyte, or probably more likely, actually, the limit of the email server, whichever is smaller. But a lot of servers will, a lot of email servers will stop large files coming through. So just bear that in mind. Qlik SaaS themes are not supported, and at the moment, the solution will only collect to one app at a time. There's a maximum of 50 sheets in any app, and a maximum of 10,000 reports per tenant per day. Please note also that this is not available with Qlik Sense Business, and it's not available with Qlik Sense Forts. So what I'm going to do now is hand over to Chris for the demonstration. Chris.
Now, so just bear with me. Share my screen. Just move things around. Yes, so what we're going to show then today is Qlik reporting services. And I'm actually going to demo this using an old demo app that we've got, which is formerly the wealth management. So some of you might have seen this before. Before we get into reporting services and the use case there, what I thought would be good is just to recap what other functionality or other capabilities are within the Qlik platform. So in this case, we've got an advisor, and this is the sheet that we're going to share within the reporting services tab. But let's say if I've got a visualization I want to share with my peers, I can right click on this, I can click the share button, and I can actually send this as an email. So one of the capabilities to get information, insights, visuals to other people is this share option. So here I can just type in an email address or several, and I can also give a message here. And what's actually going to happen is Qlik's going to share this image, and it's going to send it to the person's email, and that's going to contain the message plus a link to the application with the selections that are present at the time that that image is shared. What you can also do is share links. So I can right click on a visualization, click copy link, and that will produce me a link again, not only with the selections, but also with a link to the application and to the actual sheet within inside the app as well. So if I clear my selections here and actually just paste and go with that link that I just copied, you can see here it's appended the insight and an identifier for that insight, and that's applied the selections, and it's also highlighting the visualization that I had that I used to share that particular link. If I also just quickly drag in my my Outlook, you'll see that link that I shared earlier. So that's just received now. And here you can see that it's not only attached my my message, but also an image of that visualization, a snapshot, a point in time representation of that image. And again, I can view that and open that up within the browser. And again, it will also include my selections at the point that were present at the time I shared it. Equally, you've also got the ability to download this, so you can download it as an image, PDF, and data. And that requires you to take data out of your environment and then send it across to people. But then you've also got subscriptions as well. So I'm not going to go into subscriptions because we've done a webinar on that recently, but you can right click on any of these visualizations or the entire sheet, and you can subscribe, you can give it a name, you can enter a description, and you can specify when you want to send it. So you can say daily, weekly, or monthly. If I go for weekly, for example, I can set the days of the week, the time I want to receive it, and I can also add up to 20 other recipients of that particular subscription. So again, this is a more basic use case where you'll get a PDF of a particular visual or a sheet that gets sent to your inbox at a set point in time on a set basis, on a schedule. So those are the main current ways of getting data out. And then in addition, Qlik have introduced this reporting services as well. And the main use cases here is be able to do formatted PDF reports, burst reporting. For those that aren't familiar with the term, it's effectively producing several different reports from a single template, each with a subset of data going to a recipient. So everyone can receive a customized report based on a subset of data. And then we've also got cycling and multi-page reporting as well. So multi-page reporting is effectively, whereas a subscription, you get a single sheet or a single visualization, you can take several sheets from a particular app or cycle over a particular dimension, a field or a table of data, and get a custom view of that within a single PDF. So to carry on with the demo then, so what we're going to look at is effectively we've got a list of advisors here. Each of our advisors manage a pool of clients. These clients have a portfolio, an investment portfolio, and that will or should align to a particular strategy. And in this case, we're focusing on those accounts that need rebalancing. So each advisor is going to receive a single PDF report. They're going to receive this overview. And if I select a particular clients, we're also going to send them a list of their most a list of their clients that they most need to take action with, to approach, to contact. So in this case, you can see here, Alice has got a long-term growth strategy, but her accounts aren't balanced correctly to that particular investment strategy. When you're producing a PDF output to send using reporting services, we often newly recommend that you create particularly a custom sheet. So what we're going to do here is just look at what I've produced here. That's the sheets that we're going to send. So if I go over to the advisor and client list, you can see here, this is what it's going to actually be used to drive the reporting services. So I've got a custom table here, which I've just limited to 2 particular advisors, and that's the output. So I'm going to send 2 reports, 1 to each of these advisors. If I just focus on Al Bundy here, you can see here we've got a list of up to 5 clients that's going to be included as a sub page within that report. So we'll get that view, the client 360 view per client as well. If we look at what I've produced in terms of the PDFs, so here a PDF or a letter head is typically 8.5 by 11 inches, and that equates to a pixel size of 2480 by 3500, and that's what we've produced here in terms of the sheet format. So if I just zoom out, it's not going to look great, but that kind of gives you a preview of what that report's going to look like. So here we've got the main visualizations. I've customized these so that they're not necessarily appropriate for analytics, because what you want when you're doing your analysis is going to be very different to what you want in a PDF output. So I've taken away bits of information that just wasn't necessarily needed. I've turned on value labels there as well. And if we look at the next sheet as well, you can see that we'll have a PDF format in portrait, not landscape in this case. But it's worth noting, if I inverted the size of the page to be the other way around, it will automatically adjust to be landscape versus portrait there as well. But this is what the output that we produced. And again, I'm not going to go through building that, because it's exactly the same way as building a normal sheet within Qlik Sense. The only difference here is that I've set the sheet size to be custom according to a typical letter size, portrait letter size in A4. So those are the sheets that we're going to use. And now we're going to go ahead and build our reporting services automation. So to do this in Qlik Sense SaaS, and this is specifically to Qlik Sense SaaS, we can go to the Add New, and in here we can create a new automation. When we create a new automation, we get presented with these templates, and it's worth noting that you've got the reporting option there now as well. And these are just quick ways to get set up and start building your reports and distributing them to your relevant outputs. In this case, we're just going to start off with a blank automation. So here, I'm just going to create my advisor report. Just click save there. And once we've got our blank template, we always start off or always include our start block. And this just specifies how we're going to run this. In this case, I'm just going to leave that set to manual. But as you can see here, you can have this scheduled, triggered, or using a webhook. So for example, you could have a button within your Qlik Sense application that when the user clicks it, it goes ahead and triggers a particular report. And in this particular example, we're going to use 3 connectors. We're going to use the cloud services, and that's in order to get the table of our advisors and our clients that we want to use to generate the report. We're also going to use the Qlik reporting connectors for obvious reasons, and then we're going to use the mail block there as well to actually distribute the reports to our recipients. So the first thing we're going to do is use the cloud services block. And this is what we're going to use to effectively cycle over the different advisors. Now, in this case, I'm going to use a straight table, the straight table block, but you could use the list fields or list values of field, I should say, for the cycling. The reason why I'm using the straight table block is just because I've created some conditional expression to reduce the number of advisors down just for demoing purposes. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go back and I'm going to use the reporting connectors. Before I do, we'll just set this up. So if I go to my app ID, the first thing we need to pass in there is the app that we're connecting to. So in this case, we're going to connect to the reporting services app, which is the one that we've just used, as you can see up there. Now, in this case, it's asked for the ID. I always recommend using the lookups, but should you wish, you can access that via the URL there as well. And it's just the GUID within the browser there. Next, we'll look at the sheet ID. And in here, you can see that we've got a list of all our different sheets, and I'm specifically going to use the advisor client list. And in here, it's going to contain our objects. So again, I'll do an object lookup. And in here, I can see I've got 2 objects. Now, what I could do to make my life a bit easier is add a title to those visualizations. But in this case, I've purposely left it without one, just so we can go through how do I obtain it. So this is the app and the sheet that we've connected that particular block to. And here you can see we've got 2 different visualizations. If I right click on any visualization, I can go to the share option and embed, and that will produce the object ID that we need to reference within our automation. So I'm going to go back now, and I know that the advisor list that we're going to use to generate each report is this PVY, and we're going to select that. So that's going to produce or provide us with a list of our values in this case. So if I do a test run of that, this will produce a history of the different values or a sample data. And here you can see that we've got 2 items that I've limited it to. And in there, we've got 2 fields or 2 columns of data. One's the advisor, an example output of that is Accurate Johnny, and the other is accounts. So the main one that we're going to use here to drive the reports is going to be this advisor column. Now we can use the Qlik reporting connector to actually start adding some selections to our report and then start adding some sheets here as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a selection to the report. So as we know, we want a report per advisor. So what we're going to do here is specify, missed a step here. We're going to create a report first. And we're going to connect to the reporting services. And here you can see that it's going to produce a name. We could customize that, but we'll leave it as it is. We connect to a single application, and we can set the sheet modes, which can be all or custom. We're going to set custom because we just want to add in 2. We don't want to add in every sheet present within that particular app. And then now we can start adding our selections to the report as well. So if we add our selection or our first selection, this is going to be on the advisor field. So we can start using the lookup to find which fields we have within this particular app. And then we can pass in a value here as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass in the output from our straight table data block that we used earlier, and we're going to pass in the advisor name. So in the first run, it's going to pass in that accurate Johnny. In the second run, it's going to pass in Al Bundy as the advisor. We also want to limit the report down to just those accounts that need rebalancing. So we're going to add a second selection to our report. And in this case, we're going to select the suggestion field, and we're going to add the value. And this time, we're just going to look up the values that appear within that particular field. And in this case, it's going to be the rebalance option. So now we've applied our selections to our report. It's time to start adding some sheets. So I'll go in and add a sheet to the report. And in this case, we'll do a lookup. And I'm going to add that client call priority sheet. And that's that overview of the advisors that provides the bucket information. So if I just navigate to this now, as the bar chart, the scatter plot, and also a table, a list of all the clients that advisor needs to review. Zoom level. And now all that's left to do is to generate the report and to send it. So we're going to generate this report. And again, you can see it's auto-populated with a report that we created earlier. And we'll go ahead and we'll use the mail connector to go ahead and send this report. Now to send this, I've just connected to Google as an example. And in this case, I'm going to send this just to myself, but we'll use some dynamic text to reference the advisor that would ordinarily receive this. What you could do is in the table of data that I'm using to fetch the advisor, if that included the email addresses of those advisors, we could reference that in the to field here, and then that'll dynamically send it to a specific email address. What I'm also then going to do is pass in the subject, so we know whose report it is. We're just going to add in the advisor reference, and I'm just going to say, here is your report. We'll select a type, so I'm going to set this to be HTML. And again, we're just going to add a personalized message. So I'm going to say, hi, accurate Johnny. List clients balancing, if I can spell. This. Yeah. And then all that's left to do is to then attach the report that we've just generated. So again, we can just use the click and select, drag and drop approach that is app automations to build this this workflow, which is going to generate the report and then send it. So now if we just click save, just make sure that we've filled everything in, and we can hit run. So this is the first iteration that we're going to produce on this demo, and then we're going to add in the cycling per client afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I just move this across and drag in my mail clients. And this is always a good point, chance for anyone to ask any questions whilst this runs, and we start receiving the report blocks or the reports generated by this. If we go to chronological, here you can see we've got a list of all the blocks that have ran, the time that it's taken, and whether it's and a preview of that if it's relevant there as well. So here you can see that it's ran in 2 different loops. The first one would be for the first accurate Johnny, the first advisor, and the second for Al Bundy. Obviously, if that list, if it was a field, it would do it for every value within the field. If it was table of data, it will do it for every row. In this case, we've just limited it to 2. And here you can see now that we've got a personalized view, one for Al Bundy, one for Accurate Johnny. And if we open up one of these attachments, you can see there that we've got our first cover page for each of those. So you can see it's personalized again using the titles within the report. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add on to this and add a page per client of their top clients that need rebalancing. So what we're going to do is we're going to navigate over to our automation and we'll hit edit. And in this case, we're going to reference the second table of data. So if I go back to my sheet and we go to the client list, here you can see the clients that need to receive that report. Or not to receive the report, but that needs to be included a page per client for Al Bundy. So in this case, we're going to go back and we're going to go to the client services to fetch that data. And we'll just limit this to the data blocks. And in this case, the first thing we need to do is we need to filter that table down to make sure that it's for the relevant advisor that we're building a report for, and to make sure that those clients also need rebalancing. So we're going to use the select field value. In this case, again, we'll reference the app that we want to connect to. In this case, it's our report services app. The field name, which is going to be advisor, and the field value, which is going to be from our straight table data that we originally started with. And the first instance, that will be Accurate Johnny. And then we also need to do the same again, but this time we're going to do it for the suggestion field. So we'll do a lookup. And this time we'll do suggestion, and we'll do a lookup, and this time it'll be rebalanced. If I just scroll down, here you can see I've actually incorrectly placed the generate or the select field, so I'll do that in front of the generate report, and it's all easily modified, as you can see there. So now what we're going to do is reference the get straight table. So now we've applied the selections here, we can then get our straight table data for our clients. Again, we'll reference the reporting services. We'll select the sheet that we want to get this from, which is going to be the advisor client list. And we'll select the object, which, as we know, the advisor was this one, so we know the client one's got to be this one. So now we've got a list of our clients that we're going to cycle over and produce a page for each of those within the report. So next then, we're going to go back to our Qlik reporting connector, and here we're going to add a sheet to the report. So the next sheet we're going to add in there is going to be the Client 360 report, and now we want to limit this report, filter this report per client based on the client list. So here we're going to add a selection specifically to the sheet as opposed to the report. And we're going to select the sheet, which is going to be the Client 360 report sheet. So you can see Qlik has automatically referenced the sheet immediately above it. And again, we can reference then the field that we're going to reduce this by. So in this case, it's going to be client. And the field value in this case is going to be referenced from the get straight table data 2 block. And we just need to do a test run in order to get that. So Qlik does provide some sample data, but in this case, that's not relevant. We're looking for client to be presented there. So if we do a test run here, this will provide us with some test output, which we can then reference in our subsequent blocks. So now if I go back to the add selection to sheet, you can see here we've got some sample output from the test run, which is client, and that's what we want to reference within here. So just to kind of recap, because I appreciate that that's quite a lot to have gone through, to have covered. If I just click save here, you can see that we started off with our advisor list. And we've got 2 advisors in this particular list of data. We've created a report. We've added a couple of selections to the report, one based on the advisor, which is dynamic, and every time it loops, it's going to create a new report with a new advisor. We've then created a static selection, which is for suggestion, which is specifically going to look at clients that need rebalancing. We've added a sheet, which is the overview sheet for the advisor. We've then applied a couple of selections, the same selections for the advisor and the suggestion, which is going to drive our client list. And that is then going to produce a list of clients that need rebalancing. We're then going to add a sheet for each of those within the report. And we filtered that down accordingly, specifically just the sheet for the client. And then we're going to generate that. So we're going to go ahead and click run. Just save my voice for a little bit. Neil, are there any questions of interest?
Yes, there are 1 or 2, although you have answered some as they're going along. But Jill raised the question of could we cover themes not being included?
So yes, they're not included.
Yeah, I got the feeling that you didn't understand what a theme was, so that's part of Qlik Sense itself, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So within the actual application, you can set a custom theme, and that can change things like background colors, essentially the styling. It can modify like fonts, colors that are used in terms of background and stuff like that. So at the moment, it's just Qlik standard themes that are supported.
Yeah. And another one, Lawrence raised a point about orientation, but I think you covered that one. Colette raised the question, is burst reporting the same as what loop and reduce used to be in QlikView?
What was that, sorry?
Is burst reporting the same as what loop and reduce used to be in QlikView?
Yeah, similar concept. Yeah. So the only difference here is that we're just distributing this to someone's inbox. Yeah.
Yep. So some of the other ones are we'll cover off in the Q&A, I think. Well, I don't know, we can do them as we're going along whilst we're waiting for that. So can I report out in any other formats other than PDF?
No. So in its first instance, it's just PDF, but we're expecting an Excel template to come in due course as well.
Okay. And then Sean has asked, does this support any third-party extension objects?
Good question. I think the answer is no at this point, but
Yeah.
I'll have to come back to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that Sean, a big user of Vislib, so we'd have to ask that question, Sean, and come back to you. And then, is this going to be available on client managed? Well, I guess I can answer that one. No, it's not. There are no plans for this to be on client managed today. This is a Qlik SaaS piece of functionality because it's making use of some of the acquisitions that Qlik have made in recent months. And do I get any as standard in my subscription?
Yes. So you get 100 free reports. There is a free tier, and then you get 100 reports included as part of that within your subscription. Yes.
Yeah, and then you can buy additional blocks after that, can't you? We can cover that off.
So just to round off what this is produced then, so people would have seen that we've got two emails, one for Accurate Johnny, one for Al Bundy there, and we've got each of these have got their reports. Here you can see the output for Accurate Johnny. They've got one client in this instance that has got immediate or needs immediate attention for their portfolio to be rebalanced. If we switch over to Al Bundy's output, we can see that each of them have got a long list of clients, but he's actually got 4 different clients that they need to reach out to immediately to rebalance those. So you can see the different outputs. If I zoom in slightly here as well, you can see that it's all high quality high quality resolution, and it's all dynamic, which is the main thing there. So just to kind of recap what Neil touched on earlier, it's multi-page reporting, it's PDF, and it's burst reporting. So sending a subset of data, potentially personalized data, in this case per advisor with specific clients, to someone's mail or to a particular cloud storage offering.
Sean's got a question actually, Chris, which is something I hadn't thought through. Does this support span over multiple pages? So if you've got a really long table with a scroll, for example, how would that?
No, so currently it doesn't. It is just what you fit on a page, but we expect that use case to be answered with the Excel template, which I believe is due out within the first half of this year.
Right, okay. And one other question, are you carrying on now, or do you want me to keep going with the question?
I've talked enough, I think.
Okay, fair enough. So Jonathan's asked, can the reports be distributed through chat applications?
Yeah, there's no reason why not. It's just a PDF attachment. So yeah, absolutely, you could distribute that via Teams or Slack, providing they allow it, which I believe they do. So yeah.
Yep. And that's about it on questions. Has anybody got any other ones? I know that we don't normally do them in the middle of the demo, but this laid itself to that. Oh, there we go. Can this support multiple PDF attachments to an email, from Kirsty?
That is a good question. Yes, I don't see why not. As long as it's within the limitation of the 40 megabytes, I can see no reason why you couldn't add multiple attachments into the mail block. So in this case here, this is where you can add the attachment. So yeah, you can add another attachment there as well. So yeah, that it could be multiple. So if you wanted, you could split out. We did one page per client. You could have a separate report per client, and then attach all of those as part of that within the automation. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Oh, Jonathan's come back with an extra point to your reply earlier. Sorry, I meant, can the distribution be integrated with chat applications so the delivery is fully automated?
So it just sends straight to Teams and Slack. If that's the question, if I've interpreted that right, then yes, as long as your chat app permits it, then yeah, I don't see why not. So I know we've done an output to Teams, for example, and that permits that. So yes.
Cool. Colette's come back and said, is the 100 report limit per month? Well, yes, it is, Colette, but it is possible to buy additional blocks. So it's the 100 report limit is included in your subscription pricing, but there are ways to buy additional blocks. We'll come back to you on pricing on that. I think I don't know who looks after you, Colette. I think it may well be Sharon, but I'm sure she can get back to you with some additional stuff on that.
Yeah, so just touching on what Sean was asking, yeah, you could use any of these connectors, in combination with the reporting services connector and cloud services connector there as well. So providing it's obviously relevant, you could use potentially any of these in combination. You're not limited in that regard.
Right. So this is one for you, Chris. Connor's asked, to be clear, is that 100 active reports or 100 report distributions?
So it's every time, effectively the way I've been told is every time this generate report block is run, that is that will tally up to the 100. So you could generate a single report but send it to 100 people, but that would be one generated report as part of that.
I think it's fair to say that there has been a little confusion on that at the moment, though, hasn't it? I think,
yeah.
I think the commercials are catching up with the functionality. So if there are, another question, blimey. We currently have pixel perfect reports generating via end printing. Reason for this is the quality of the report. What is the max quality DPI that can be generated via this?
I'm going to have to defer that to come back to you on that one.
Yeah, we'll get back to you later on that, Sean. Yeah, okay. I'll make sure we get back on that. Well, we'll put it in the notes that we send back to everybody actually when we send out a link to the video, so you're all aware of it. And I keep saying this, so if there are no more questions, and then another one always pops up, but if there are no more questions, well, two things really. Let me just share my screen. So our next webinar is on Thursday, the 24th of February, again at 11:30, and this time we'll be covering data lineage in Qlik SaaS. So, where has your data come from, or where is your data being used? So it would be great to see as many again on that one. Thank you very much for all attending today. It's great to see so many people on the call and actively involved with it. So by all means, let us know if you've got any additional questions come to mind. Get in touch with myself, Andy, Chris, or Sharon, and we will do what we can to answer them. But thanks again for your time. Look forward to seeing you on the 24th.